Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I want to extend a welcome to you. And for those of you returning, it's good to see you all again. Today's video is one that I've actually covered this subject before, but recently I've been inundated with everything from emails to other content that I've come across where it just seems like there's almost another whole trend of this kind of moving through. And for the most part, this is not accusing either sex. Let's just get right down to this. But this is mostly what I've been uncovering is stuff where actually women are asking for either open relationships, open marriages, or I guess you can call it polyamory, or to some degree, I guess you would say swinging in some way, shape, or form. And this seems to be getting sprung on more and more men, but I know that there have been men doing it too. So let's not, throw out the baby with the bathwater. There are men that do this as well. And I wanted to kind of touch base back on this again because for those of you that have seen the previous videos that I've done on this, you know that I view that, and I know that actually a lot of you view that as just basically asking for permission to cheat so that you don't have to sneak around and do it. And I know that there are people that like to treat it like as if somehow doing that makes it okay if the other person agrees to it, but it is always under duress. And that is something that we have to keep in mind with all of this as we're thinking about this topic. I know for some of you, you're thinking, Steve, I don't have any intention of getting into a relationship. And this might yet be another incentive to even avoid ever even considering it, because I know the relationship landscape out there is pretty brutal right now. It's pretty bad. You would be extremely lucky to find anybody that is in any way salvageable that hasn't been infected by this. And I mean, one of the points that I even was going to make is that does monogamy and morality even mean anything to anybody anymore? I know that monogamy is something that I've heard it, and this is only from certain feminists, but some of them claim they don't agree with this, but that monogamy is basically a patriarchal thing and it's something that's of the past. To me, I see monogamy as a level of trust between two people that absolutely cannot be replaced in any other way. Men and women genuinely trusting each other. Nobody's lying. Nobody's being sneaky. And nobody's trying to one up the other person and be basically the bigger con artist in the relationship. You're not even coming into it for that reason. And I have a feeling like that is almost completely dead and gone, if not dead and gone in possibly the next generation. I mean, I know that sounds pretty bleak, but for those of you men and women out there that are hearing this and you still believe in monogamy and you still believe in morality, then this is just absolute insanity when this just keeps coming up over and over and over again. And one of the major things that I've even seen in some of the videos, and I've actually heard from a few people now, is that some of the women that are approaching it, they're treating it as if somehow they are being oppressed, or they've referred to it as patriarchal if you say no to the open relationship. Just mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. And then next stage after that, once you've said no, is they attempt to spin the story to everybody else, because let's just say they introduce this idea to you and you show them the door. You're like, no, I absolutely am not going to do this. This applies to men and women. Like, it doesn't matter who's approaching you saying this. You say, no, I'm absolutely not going to do this. I have no intention of being involved in and wrapped up in a relationship or a marriage, God forbid, where the other person is stepping out whenever they want and I'm being forced to fund this under duress and against my will. Just because you coerced me into a position where I didn't have a choice, or I felt like I didn't have a choice. Just to be clear, there's always a choice, and the choice is always to walk. The minute this subject gets brought up, you walk. You do not negotiate. You get out of there. You get the hell out of there. There is no way to win in this particular situation. And it's just yet another thing that kind of adds to the destruction of modern day relationships. It's just another hurdle that's coming at everybody, and another ridiculous idea that is really just a con because they want to use the finances and the stability of the relationship to step out and sleep around. So back to my other point, a lot of this is ending up in a position of reputation destruction. They basically go to your family, your friends, everybody, and they give a version of it that makes it sound like they were reasonable with you and you just kicked them to the curb. And I've seen stuff about this. I've heard stuff about this. It's either missing details or the details of what happened and what was being asked for completely being misconstrued. They make it sound like, oh, I just wanted guy friends. No, you wanted to sleep around. You asked for an open marriage, and now you're spinning it to family and friends to damage it. And and in the converse of that, women that have experienced this too, because I have heard about situations like that with women who have men that have approached them and said, I want that type of situation. But really what it comes down to is, what are they really doing? They're putting you under duress. Who is going to financially fund all of this? Are you going to be forced into a situation, which, let's be realistic, if you're living together or married, you're being forced to fund something against your will. You didn't sign up into this expecting to be putting money and time and effort into something where they're going out and sleeping with other people. Nobody signed up for that. Nobody walks into a relationship saying, that's what I'm hoping for in the end result. I can't think of a person that has ever told me that. That told me, hey, you know what? I was hoping it would end up that way, that I would fall so out of love with this individual that we would both be going off and doing that, sleeping with other people, having an open situation. And then now you're trapped in a place where if you become uncomfortable, how do you escape financially, especially if you're married? It would be really, really nice, although unrealistic on my part to even hope for this, that the laws would be updated to allow people to not be trapped in a situation under duress. That if somebody hits you with that, you can find a way to have an instant escape button where they get absolutely nothing should they even bring this subject up. And unfortunately, our laws will never take care of that. I mean, if you've seen my other videos on what they do to you, if you just are trying to get a divorce and the other person commits alimony fraud and they let them get away with it, our legal system is pretty much screwed. You cannot count on them to take care of anything in a just or honest manner. You just can't. I mean, you'd be a fool to leave it to that. So, I mean, I guess it isn't just that. I'd have to ask this too. Let's just say hypothetically you end up in a situation like that. Like you end up in duress, under duress, in a situation where you're, say, married. Can you imagine sitting across from that individual? You know that they're sleeping with somebody else and they want to be on a date with you, sitting there pretending like the two of you have some form of romance going on between the two of you, and you know they've been sleeping with other people. It's just dead. It's just that is probably, I could think of a million things that I would rather have done to me, probably death by chainsaw, before I would rather be in a situation like that where I'm sitting across from somebody, I'm helping to fund that life and that situation and work and be trapped in that situation and know that I would rather be anywhere else. I'd rather be dead. It's just amazing to me, just absolutely amazing that people will spring this stuff on somebody knowing that there's a form of entrapment there, especially if you're already living together and God forbid married. And this is just yet another thing. I know it sounds like it's just, it's sort of like beating a dead horse. Why are you bringing this back up again? It just seems like there's a whole other wave of this kind of coming through. This being promoted, especially by young women online that are actually promoting this as if it's a great lifestyle. Now, this isn't a slur against women. This is just in particular young women that have been involved in hookup culture. They've been involved in a lot of the promiscuity that's been going on for years now. They've been involved in the decay of our society. And they are now getting to a point where they're hoping for basically a guy that's going to sign on long term with them, help them provide stability in their lives, and then they go out and they sleep around. I realize there are women that find this repulsive. And if you're one of those women that finds this repulsive and you're making a stand against it, great. I absolutely am glad you're around because we need more people to stand up against this. The more bodies that we can, fight back with, the better, because good Lord. It seems like the absolute death of sense and reason. Because anybody with any real understanding about how trust works in a relationship realizes that you can't just be going around living such an open, promiscuous life and not have any consequences to it. It's just amazing to me, completely amazing that that's what happens. And my final point on this, and this kind of comes from one of my other videos, it's just simply this: cheating is cheating. It's dishonesty where you don't want to face the reality of life by yourself, running around, engaging in the promiscuity, the hookup culture, the sleeping around, the just rampant lifestyle like that. You're not wanting to face the fact that you really should be doing that alone. So you con somebody else and you string them along. There is never a time when cheating is the right answer. There's never a time when breaking your word to somebody is the right answer. If something doesn't work, walk away. For those, there might be those of you that even watch this video that might try to justify that. And I'm just going to say this to you. It's not about whether or not you're hoping down the road that somebody will treat you in a way that is faithful or monogamous or anything along those lines. It really kind of comes down to this. We have to be the better version of ourselves. We have to be the ones that have self-control, that bring logic and reason to the table. Even if nobody's listening, we're not necessarily doing it for them to listen. We're doing it because it's not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. No one who has an open relationship is going to survive. They're just not. Their relationship will fall apart, and every subsequent relationship will fall apart until the day that they either wake up and realize that that is just a dead end, completely get you nowhere, or they create such a huge amount of collateral damage that it's just insurmountable. Anyway, I didn't really necessarily plan on speaking on this topic tonight. It just, I saw, I'd had one guy write into me about it. Somebody else had mentioned it to me in one of the other emails that I had gotten. And I had seen some recent comments on one of my other marriage videos talking about this. And then I've seen a whole swath of new videos popping up where basically it's almost like they think they're missionaries for a new religion, going out there and promoting, hey, be in an open relationship, get a guy to be basically a simp stuck there funding you, and now go sleep around. And he'll feel trapped, and describing ways that they can help make the guy feel trapped. I mean, it's like they're bragging about how big of a con artist they can be, as if somehow in their twisted brains that is some form of a flex. So anyway, with that being said, and a new peek into the level of insanity that just keeps on rising out there, for those of you still holding the line and holding to insanity, to sanity, and in the face of insanity, to being truthful, being honest, and realizing the morality and monogamy actually are amazing things. And monogamy, if you can find it, which, if you're even looking for that, many of you have given up on it. I do not blame you at all. Those of you that don't want to get married, brilliant. That's a great idea. Those of you that do want to get the government involved in your relationship, you might need a CAT scan because something might just be wrong with you. And this is not to say that I hate marriage. I hate the way our current culture and society incentivizes the breakup of marriage and the damage that it does to people. We need to take it back to another form. I don't think that that's quite possible in our current system. So no use sitting there hoping for something that isn't really likely to ever happen. But at least those of us that are sane enough and see it might be able to avoid the traps, right? So as always, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. All of that helps the algorithm, which I'm greatly appreciative of. Share it with some other people if they have a like mindset and they want to come over and join us here on the channel. And I look forward to talking to you all again soon. Have a great night.